What's up, Bills fans? It's been a long 3 weeks. It really, really has been a long, long 3 weeks. It's finally nice to come to you after a seems like a been forever and a day. For a team that won 7 games, it really feels like they took them a while to get this one because it just was, man, they were just getting in their own way so much over the last, even today, to a certain degree. But it was the kind of win when you were watching it and looking back on it now that they needed to have happen. What's up, Rick? How you doing, bro? I saw you on IG. It feels good, man. It feels good, Shady. And they needed to win like this. They needed this, what I call the basic bitch win. Uh, Run the ball, don't turn the ball over, timely stops on defense. They got to turn over themselves, which really turned around the game. They were down 10-3. Cleveland was driving, and they're about past midfield or right at midfield. And then because of an injury, center quarterback exchange. We know, we know we're all going to die. We're all going to die sooner because of last week. I firmly believe that. Last week took years off our lives, and none of us have ever recovered from that because it took the perfect storm of hell for them to lose that game. And we saw, just to get away from it just a little bit, we saw what happened to Minnesota today. They lost in Buffalo last week. They won and lost in Buffalo. They were emotionally and physically done today at home against Dallas. They looked flat. They looked physically just done because that's what that kind of win, that type of all the dynamics that went into that game, that's what it'll do to you. And I was really worried about this game, just, man, all the situation with the weather, the travel, the crazy ways guys had to get to the facility, to get to the airport, to get to the game. It was almost like they were playing on a short week, and then they're also going into a short week, and we'll touch on that too because we're all on a short week. It's Thanksgiving week. We're going to talk about Detroit also today. They were here at the Meadowlands against some former Bills, Daboll and Shane, and they just looked emotionally done. And I saw, Eric, you guys got destroyed. Was it true 6 feet, true almost 6.5 feet of snow? It's insane. I just think, Shady, they just looked emotionally done. And, the Bills, you saw it early in this game when they come out. They were just offensively, defensively, they finally win the coin toss. They defer. Oh, wow. And then what happens? Cleveland just methodically just drives down the field. And what I've now called the down to death for the Bills defense is 3rd and long. I'm of the opinion, I'm in fear anytime the Bills are in 3rd and 10 plus, and you would think that's an advantageous down. And I'm just like, it just seems like they give up that down and distance so much, especially in the last like 2 to 3 weeks. It seems like that's just a down and distance they get caught on. I don't know if it's a coverage issue or what it is, but they go down and score, a touchdown that looked very similar to the one that Justin Jefferson scores the first touchdown on last week. I was like, right, Dane Jackson, just didn't look back in time. They come out and have 2 straight 3-and-outs. They finally get the ball at midfield. They move it a little bit. They get the field goal. And even then, once they got the opportunity to double dip, hits a big pass to Davis, and then they started moving the ball in the run game a little bit. They kind of did, because they didn't start out running the ball. Allen started out, I think your offense was like 8 straight passes, started out 4 for 10 for like 12 yards. And then for the rest of the day, he was 14 for 17 for like 180 yards and a touchdown. So he was highly efficient the rest of the game. And yeah, he was amazing, Eric. He was arguably the best player on the field. But to get back to the offense a little bit, it's just to see them, you know what? They found a plan B. Maybe it wasn't a plan B, but they went to a backup plan. And it was Motor and Cook. Motor and Cook. And it worked like bread and butter. Motor was getting tough yards, making guys miss. Slippery, short. Can get lost behind those offensive linemen, and we've seen Cook. I mean, Cook again, like I said in prior videos, he's a 25-yard play waiting to happen every time he touches the football. And it was at one point during the game he was averaging like 10 yards a touch, and we've seen it. He gets out in space, and he's a threat to go. But it was really looking at it, it was a three-phase win from the special teams, block field goals, some big punt returns, a big kickoff return. They did cover. The last one was scary as hell, but they did get those two onside kicks taken care of. And I really like to see Cook get worked in the pass game. You saw him spread out a few more times. He got, I think, about 20 offensive snaps today, which is the most he's gotten in an NFL game. It was 18 carries for Singletary. I think it was nine for Cook, I believe, and it was just perfect. It was perfect. It was 11 for Cook, 18 and 11, and both had 86 yards rushing. The one penalty you rue is that Gilliam hold, because they're first and goal at the 1, and you feel like they could have punched it in there, scored a touchdown, to really make the double dip a true backbreaker at that point in the game. But they just 6 field goals from Tyler Bass, and you got to tip your hat to him for doing his job. One was a 56-yarder. I think James Lofton on the broadcast said punt at that point, and he it's like, dude, you cover this league. Guys hit 55-yarders with their eyes closed now. It's not, or Scott Norwood was like, you were holding your breath at 40. These guys, that kick would have been good from 60. Cook was amazing, Eric. He looked good. He looked confident. He just glided out there. Yeah, Doug, go back and watch when they can run the football from under center. The offensive line gets more traction. They get more movement. I will say, though, on the one give that they did, the play that I hate, the run play that I hate, there was a key 3rd and short that they got with Singletary driving for the field goal, I believe, at the beginning of the first half. And it was one of those little dive gives. Yeah, that it was kind of 50-50, Doug. I'll work in reverse here. What's good, bro? Good win. Any win's a good win, but it was the officiating was there was one, the one that really burned me the most was the pass interference against Hamler. It was like, what, I mean, he, just because the optic of his arm there, he turned his head, he got his hand up. It's like, what more does he not have to do, or does he have to do? The flag comes flying in, and of course the proverbial powwow of conversation. And then it was like the Dawson Knox elbow. It's like, did he fumble? Did he not fumble? They were back, like literally in the middle of a commercial. They cut back to the game, and Singletary was running. I was like, what the fuck? I thought I was seeing something. I was like, what the hell just happened? And it was like, oh, they reversed the call. That was quick, and it was like 1st and goal, Motor. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, man, they need to build on this, and it's something that you see that they're capable of. Especially these next 3 to 4 weeks, they're going to need this running game to either control games, salt games away, stabilize the offense, and that's what you need to do. You don't have it clicking in the pass game. You turn around and you hand the ball off, and those guys can start to find some traction, and they're a nice little complement to each other. They really are. Yeah, there was a face mask on Hines that didn't get called. I really got pissed at that play call, Eric, because it was like they got cute. They were moving the ball very, very well. They run that play, and it just put them behind. And I was like, you're driving to really get the touch, and the back-to-back touchdowns, one at the end of the half, one to start the half. And it was just like little miscues like that really pissed me off. You know, I just didn't understand the what are they looking for, these calls with these pass interference calls. It's like, okay, oh, the guy didn't get his head turned around. Okay, he got his head turned around. Oh, he didn't oh, but his hand was around the way. It's all these little things that they can call it if they want. The league has made it so that on any given play they can call pass interference if they want to. It's kind of like holding. It's like you can literally call holding on every offensive play if you want, because you're going to see the guy have just a little bit of jersey, and that's it. I felt like the play with Owosu Koromoa going and was a little excessive with Josh Allen at the one scramble that he had, but you know, I'm glad they didn't let themselves get caught up in the bullshit. But it was looking hairy there to start the game. It was yeah, it's every play shady. They throw the flag, and then here comes here comes the meeting, and it's just like, why? We saw what we didn't, and then there's penalties that happen, like the Heinz face mask, that just, you got a ref standing right there looking at it, and the flag doesn't get thrown, and it just drives you fucking nuts, because it's like, what are you doing there? You'll call a flag where guys are running full speed and it just happens to optically not look right, but then you got a guy getting how did his head turn like this? And then you got a 260, 70-pound guy doing this. Like, well, that's what turned his head. Where's the flag? It's super, super frustrating, but we're just picking, we're grasping, it was really nice to see them get some movement in the run game. Kind of reminded me of the Atlanta game last year, where they ran the ball well. They just decided to just muscle up and run the ball. And it was nice to have an explosive element to the run game that's not Josh Allen. Allen only had 7 yards rushing today, and it was mostly all off the back of Singletary and Cook. And there was a few of those runs that Cook had that he looked like he could have went. It was that close. Like, there was the first big one that he broke. It was like he was right there on the sideline. If he could have tiptoed, that would have been really, really nice to see him, because it's there. It's there. They want it this way, Shady. They want it nice and subjective. Anytime they want that laundry comes flying, and it controversy leads to attention, leads to talk. They welcome it. They invite themselves to it. So that's their own fault. But Allen was very he had an after his rocky start. Let's just say he was efficient. He was efficient. He didn't try to do too many crazy things. There was a few times there he threw some really nice passes to Davis. There was one he threw a nice one to Diggs. The touchdown was crazy, where Diggs just came free open at the back of the end zone, and Allen he's so open. Allen falls over throwing it to him. He could have just stand there and flug it. Yeah, he played the whole game. I honestly think that's more of a travel. Just they want those guys immobilized for travel, bro. They don't want they're big dudes. They don't want them swelling up too much. They don't want them, walking and slipping. They just want them, they want the leg, no chance of turning it. I think that's just something standard for because he played pretty much the whole game. Like, he went and got his ankle taped up and he played. But there was a few other guys too. I know Epinesa, and I saw Quisenberry also. When they did the big dub cam, they have the big dub cam, he was limping. And yeah, so there was it was a few guys, and it's a short week. I was going to talk about that with you guys, what type of practice this is going to be. Were they going to probably practice once this week? have a walkthrough and head right back to Detroit. It's probably just going to let the guys, get some rest, sleep, um, maybe get one light lift in. They're going to meet. They don't not even review this game. But I will say I watched a lot of the Detroit Giants game today, and it's this very similar team that they're going to be playing next week. Yeah, I don't know if he plays either. I think that's kind of why we have Klein. Brought AJ Klein back. Another thing, you saw them bring in the extra backer. You saw them bring in the extra backer. You saw there was a couple of times they had Dotson, they had Bernard, and they had Milano on the field all at the same time and let's do it. Take our hat off to the run defense today because is he the NFL's leading rusher or like top 2? They held him. It was the first time in his career he had been held under 2 yards a carry for the whole game. And that guy has scared the hell out of me. I mean, he burned them in the pass game. Those little screens, those 2 screens were brutal. But after that, and on the ground, Chubb had no traction whatsoever. So you got to give props to the backers, give props to the line, the defensive line. Tons of run stuffs today. Oliver, Settle, Shaq Lawson, they played great. They really, really played great. So hats off to them for the way they played. And they had, we all know that they came under heavy fire the last few weeks. Yeah, he looks explosive. He looks like he's confident. He had that one little ding where it was a run play and they had stuffed it as well. He was right in the middle of it. I mean, he was one of the guys. It was him, it was Vaughn, and then Taron Johnson came screaming out of the secondary and comes to clean up the backer. And he just hits Oliver right in the rib. I was like, oh shit! You saw because Oliver was like, oh, he hunkered over. I was a little worried there. It's like, please let that not be cracked ribs or anything like that. Friendly fire type of injury. But yeah, you're watching Detroit today. They play a very similar game to what the Browns offensively do. They run the football. Even though the Browns didn't really get into it today, they play similar. They have 3 capable backs. I mean, Williams leads the league in rushing touchdowns. Swift is explosive. I know he's been injury prone. And Jackson had some nice runs for them today. And Goff really didn't have to do much. Giants turned over the ball 3 times, and I believe they turned all 3 turnovers into scores. So that really tilted the game in their favor. Yeah, man. I'll say this. They lost that game. They won in Buffalo last week, but they also lost last week before they even played this week. They lost this week last week because you're emotionally through the gills, all the things that went into that game, from the goal line stand to the goal line fumble to the Bills getting it into overtime to the catch to everything that went on. It's just I watched the game right up into CBS turned it to the Bengals and Pittsburgh, and that team was they just looked flat. They looked slow. They looked lethargic. They looked like they had to play a team. They looked like a team that had just played 2 games like in a week, and they were playing a team coming off a bye. They just look so flat, and all those emotional wins, they take a toll. But playing the Bills highlights right now, I mean, you see Highmark stadiums covered in snow, and there's the touchdown, 31. The weirdest way to get to 31 points. It was crazy. Weirdest way. 6 field goals, 2 touchdowns, a PAT, and a missed 2-point conversion. Crazy. Knox played very, very well today. Davis chipped in. He had that one it looks so close. That one-hander on the sideline looks so close. I was really upset they didn't go to replay on that because that one looked really close. What's up, Hussein? How you doing, bro? I called it. I called it the basic bitch win, which is what they needed. They just needed that basic bitch win. Complimentary football. The run game was a catalyst. Allen was efficient. No turnovers. Timely defensive stops. They got a turnover that really swung the game because, like I started off the video with, they're down. At that point, it was Cleveland 10, Bills 3. Cleveland was moving the ball very well. And then, you know, they're at the midfield mark, and then they had a center QB exchange issue, and with the backup center, Bills get the ball, they get a field goal, but it kind of calmed it down. They stop Cleveland on the next drive and then go down and start the double dip, go into halftime with the lead 13-10, and then they never relinquished the lead again. It was kind of the way, if you saw how they ended the third quarter, running the football, keeping the clock, they were thinking about last week, because last week it was like, there was only a minute and change left in that third quarter. They were going to go into that fourth up 27 to 10. And then Cook hits that 81-yard run. That just totally changed the game, and it gave them life. It gave them juice, re-energized their whole sideline. And then we saw what happened from there. Let me read, guys. I didn't like the they had to make some crazy plays though to get back in it. I will say, and I'm not going to nitpick too much. They had to make some hellacious. Donovan Peoples that had the game of a season. I mean, even Brissett, he knows he's going to the bench in a week. He played with his hair on fire. He played like it meant something to him. And if you said that, they would shut down their run and they were just going to put the game in the hands of Jacoby Brissett, you take that all day long. And we saw, they were able to win. It's just their red zone issues, not scoring touchdowns. That's still a little bit of a work in progress. But overall, they ran well. They didn't turn over the ball. They just needed to get their feet on the ground again, get some traction, and just take it from here. The offensive line, they play much better in the run game when Allen is under center. They're able to get traction, fire off the ball. Their play action game works a little better as well. So yeah, that shit is just the 50-50 ball today. You saw I put some stuff on Twitter. That was like, and that's been like 2 weeks. That's maybe you can go 3 weeks. There was an Elam Garrett Wilson third down conversion against the Jets. It was just like, dude, you gotta bat these passes down, man. You gotta start, PBU in these passes, because it's just like they're right there. It's like with some of these, it's like, Jackson has his hand just almost right there, and they're finding the mark. Sometimes you go on a streak, but you know what? I'll take the win. Take the win. That's what you have to do sometimes. Given the circumstances, they pretty much had to play this game like it was a short week. I think they got in one practice, if it was a practice, because they had everybody sick. It was more like an individual, walkthrough, if you will. They really weren't able to do much of anything. I think they had a double walkthrough on Thursday, didn't practice on Friday, and then had to, you had guys shoveling, exerting their bodies, doing that. And shoveling's hell, man. Shoveling's no joke. Like, anybody who's had to do it, it's and do it to that extent. I mean, I've never had to shovel that much snow in my life. I've never seen that much snow in my life in one place. It must be hell. That's what you need, though. You need that's what your head coach needs to do. Your head coach needs to take control of the team. dude, I saw Eric. I can't imagine. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I think they set a New York State record for snowfall in a day. I mean, who could prepare for that? Who could, imagine that? And it just seems like the last like 3 weeks, there's been some storyline going into a Bills game, whether it was Allen's elbow, uh, you know, the weather. It's just, now it's Thanksgiving, short week. It's good that the Bills' following opponent's going to be on an equally as short week too. The Patriots, they're going to have, the short turnaround and then have to play the Bills on Thursday night. So I'm glad they're not, going into play a team with a mini bye. That would really have pissed me off. I hate that shit, especially when you're playing a division opponent. But they did what they had to do to win. It was a home/road game. Cleveland's closer to Detroit than Buffalo is. A lot of Bills fans had priority with the tickets, but it's still tough. And everybody felt like the weather would have favored the Bills in not the Bills, Cleveland in Buffalo, but I felt like that was the game plan we were going to see. I think they just kind of stuck to the game plan. They game planned for the weather. They're like, hey, we're gonna do this. Whether it's outdoors or indoors. We're not going to change. We don't have time. And it was pretty good. I wish they would have started running the ball a little bit earlier. To be honest with you, I think they threw like 8 or 9 straight passes before they ran the ball. But I hope everybody's safe that lives up there in the area. I know a lot of surrounding areas got a lot of snow. Even the bands, they were hitting different pockets. Some of the north parts of Buffalo got hit later on. It's just crazy how that shit works. I mean, I'm no meteorologist. I'm no science guy, but it's really out of this world what happens up there with that snow. And of course, the stadium of the team that we all love is right smack dab in the eye of it. It's like, of course it is, because every loss of this team has to be like a Greek tragedy too, whether it's the Hail Murray 13 seconds last week, you name it, right? Oh, Christ, man. But it's much better to come to you guys and talk to you after a win. It's much more refreshing, much more relaxing. Just take a breath. That's, and it's a short week, so it just gives us a chance to breathe. Not, Thursday, Thanksgiving, everybody's going to be running around, like your pre-Christmas primer. It's like, oh, Christ, here come the holidays. And they come quick and fast and everybody's running around. So it's like, just get us this win. And, so we can chill. I saw a stat of, like they were 3-7 in between these two dates in McDermott's tenure. And I just wonder why that is. I think Sal Capaccio put it out there. It's just very weird. And, you didn't want to have, God forbid, you get 2 in a row. And even with the Jets game, things happened in that game where just the Bills just gave the game away. The Jets played well, but there was plenty of times where the Bills, Allen puts that ball out, instead of throwing it to not trying to force it into Knox there. And, it's a field goal, hopefully, boom. I think they had a field goal block or something like that before the half. There's that. There was just all these little different things, that they got to clean up. And, they'll be all right. They'll stop beating themselves. That's it. Today they didn't beat themselves, which was a welcome change from the last few weeks. It really, really was. Because this team's too good to beat itself this much. But I think they needed just kind of a gritty, tough, hard-fought win to just kind of get themselves stabilized again and realize, we don't have to always try to, outsmart everybody or just beat everybody down, kind of like humble pie a little bit. Hey, we had to just play football. Yeah, hopefully, man. Hopefully, but I'm glad our team got the win today. That's the thing that matters the most. Is that they were able to, they can only take care of what they can take care of, That was crazy, Eric. I mean, whew, that was a crazy. And I watched the punt return in real time. Like I had switched, the Bills had just taken care of their business. And for some reason, I don't know why it was. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but I got obviously I'm down here and the Jets and Patriots started around 1:10, 1:15. It started ahead of the other 1 o'clock games, and they were in the last. They did a lot of running, and the clock was moving, so it wasn't too far past where the Bills ended. And when Man kicked the ball, he line drive that kick. He just fucking it was like a missile straight, no hang time whatsoever. And then when Jones got traction and got to the sideline, I'm like, holy shit, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get the sideline. And when he got the sideline, I'm like, even if they tackled him, they're gonna get a field goal. But then I forget who missed. I thought they were gonna throw the flag for blocking the back. They didn't. And then he took it to the house, and then they cut to Saleh just totally like, bro. I mean, Bills have lost some games in disgusting ways. So I mean that's got to suck to lose a game like that. Hey, what's up? What's up, Johnny? How you doing, bro? Early in the game, he started off. They just look like a team that hadn't practiced much, that escaped a snowstorm. That's what they look like early on. In the past games, rhythm and timing, they just he was, again, I said he was 4 for 10 to start the game for 12 yards, and then he finished the game 14 for 17 for 180 and a touchdown. So it's just, he was efficient when he late in the game. He managed the game. He didn't turn the ball over. He tried to stick some throws in there, hit that one to Knox. Thank God he was down. I thought Singletary was down last week. I thought the nose of the ball, and then when his elbow hit and then the ball popped out, just that nose showing. But overall, I felt like he had the game he had to have in this circumstance. It just crazy. But everything they did from there, they picked the visitor sideline, they picked the visitors' locker room so they can just be familiar with everything. They're playing a very similar team next week. Good offensive line, runs the ball well. Quarterback is a steady Eddie. He can burn you. We saw that in 2020. So, Goff can be a handful in certain instances. But I know they lost Okudah today. He's in concussion protocol, and he's probably not going to make it out, for the game on Thanksgiving. So there's that. Similar to what happened with Newsome, the crazy situation where he runs into a guy at practice, gets put in concussion protocol, and they don't have him for the game. Read some of your comments, guys. But they need those checkdowns. So some of those checkdowns opened up some of the stuff, to Knox and to Davis a little bit late, and in the run game too. If they start running the ball, better, teams are going to start having to come up. They're going to have to come up, and they're going to have to play it and show it respect, because, Cook, like I said, like we all saw, he's a 20 plus yard play waiting to happen every time he touches the ball. Every time he touches the ball. Well, hopefully, we just got to take care of the Bills. Just got to take care of their business, Doug, and then whatever happens. That's it. Just the Bills just got to take care of their business, and whatever else happens. There's nothing they can do. Yeah, they you watched the Giants. If you, I had the Giants, and it was crazy. I had Bills on the computer, Bills Browns on the computer. I had both all 3 1 o'clocks. I had Giants, Lions, Patriots, and Jets. And yeah, Giants turned the ball over 3 times. They didn't really run it particularly well today. Every bounce went Detroit's way, like literally every bounce. And the game kind of held at 24-9. Or it was weird because the Giants missed 2 PATs that threw the score all out of whack, and they just never were able to rebound after that, and they lost a shit ton of players to injury, a shit ton of players. Yeah, it was, again, check the ball down, do what you have to do. There's free yards there. There's 5 yards. There's 6 yards. Knox had a few catch and runs, made a few guys miss. I know Davis had a few of those little comebackers for, set up some second and shorts, some first downs. So you gotta have those. You gotta have those. Sometimes that's a lot of times that's all you need. Not every play has to be a 25-yard, 20+ yard play. You just need, sometimes you just need 8 yards. Sometimes you just need 6 yards. So it's all situational, And let's give a lot of props though to, them just putting their noses to the grindstone, running the ball. Hines played a big role today. I felt like he should have had a penalty on the one play he got on offense. Was very, very good in the return game. Excellent. You feel very secure with him catching punts, returning punts, his decision making. Even on the one kickoff, he had a decent little run. Special teams of the block, so they played a role in this. Martin was nice. He had his 2 punts that he had were really, really good punts. They put them back there inside the 10, inside the 20. So he did it was a really all hands on deck kind of win. Kind of like with Bills fans digging the players out and, with plows, shovels, or just, some of them had backloaders. Some of them had just straight up, just shovels and, some some grit, and they just help the players shovel themselves out. Crazy how that all works, man. Yeah, but the overall, yeah, I mean when you had when you have Cook and Singletary running the ball the way they were, it's kind of like you can have too many mouths to feed. So those guys were working a nice little bit. There was one stretch there where Cook was in. He was in like 5-6 straight plays, and that's what you like to see. Then you kind of reflect on it. It's like, look, you know how the Bills work. They don't want to put rookies in right away. They don't put a lot on their plate right away. I mean, even with the inactive list today, it was like there was a certain guys I knew they weren't going to play on short weeks for any reason whatsoever, whether it was Elam, Rousseau, even Trey. I'm like, there's no way they're going to play Trey, have him active today, and then play him on a Thursday. There's no way in hell that's happening. So I didn't even think about him as a possibility playing this week. I thought Elam might play though, but he looked good out there early on. So hopefully he's back for this game, because we saw Xavier Rhodes on the field a little bit. Him and Benford were rotating in. I would like to, but I think that's kind of a thing that's going to be gradual. We'll see it. Trying to read some of your comments, guys. I think they're gonna start. I mean, he's gonna have to play. I mean, they only have one more game on natural grass all year. They have, they have one more game on grass all year, and that's in Chicago. Everything else is on the split turf. So he's gonna play on turf. Well, Cook gives them definitely the most juice on the team. Cook gives them by far and away the most juice. I think McKenzie in his role is fine. I want to see. I saw Shakir in there getting a little bit more run in the second half in the slot. But they were in a management situation where it's like, we're running the ball well. We're just going to keep running it well, and that's fine with me. If don't stop doing it if it works. Don't. That's possible, Doug. That's possible. But they do need him back on the field. I would like to see him back on the field. And given the depth that they have, if you have Elam back, you have Trey back, you can rotate him. You don't have to, he doesn't have to play 60 snaps on defense. He can play 20 snaps on defense. You can play him in gotta have it situations. You can play him in, where you have multiple DBs on the field and down and distance situations. You don't have to play him in high stress situations. So their depth gives them options with him. It's not like, he's healthy and you got to go. You got to put him out there. I don't pay attention to those dudes. I don't pay attention to guys like Wright or any of those assholes. Yeah, Poyer's just a nice steady Eddie, man. He's just a really nice steady Eddie. He's just savvy vet. The one pass breakup, he came screaming over and on broke up on Njoku. I know Njoku leaped over him later on in the game, but Njoku didn't really have much of an impact on the game. And it was just Brissett scrambling around, finding guys down the sidelines. That's really what it was. It was always stuff down the sidelines that was killing us on defense. Other than that, they really didn't have much else going on offense. It was just those bigger passes down the sidelines where it's just like, look, I got to have this. It was either a flag or the pass got completed, and we got to give them credit. Some of their wide receivers made some crazy catches. Some crazy catches. And from what I heard from their fans, these were rare plays from those guys. Like they weren't used to seeing Donovan Peoples-Jones making those plays for them. Well, he's out there practicing. He's out there, warming up before games. He's out there, he's gone road trips with them. So if it's maybe mental or they're just waiting to give it a year, we'll see. I thought Dotson was okay today. He didn't really stick out as a bad spot for me. He tackled well. He's not the athlete, or he's an undrafted free agent. Tremaine is a top 20 pick. It's like, it's hard to compare the two. When one guy's healthy, it's clear who's going to start. The guy's a douchebag. So, like, you know what you do with douchebags is you ignore them. You ignore douchebags. To give the guy any attention is to validate him, and you don't do that. You just whatever, dude. Yeah, and this was the game. This was a game that they needed. Yeah, I hope so, Johnny. I was hoping he could get worked in a little bit again, but it's so hard. You got a rookie. You got what you feel like is a regular week going into a short week that turns into a short week, and then you have to travel for a perceived home game. It's just, again, the situation was crazy. I forget how the last Bills away a game in Detroit worked out. Wasn't the game moved to Monday, if I'm not mistaken? The game ended up being a Monday game, and it just, like, they had an extra day. Hamlin's been a nice player. He's been a really nice player. Like, I haven't noticed, anything from him other than a physical player who plays downhill. He makes a ton of plays in the run game. He's been there in some pass breakups. I'm trying to remember back to 2014 when they played the Jets. Let me see on the box score. It was a Monday, so they actually moved the game up a day, whereas the Bills didn't have that this time. They played it on a Monday. They had an extra day to prepare because of the travel and such. That's such a crazy set of circumstances. Yeah, he reminds me of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but if he needs targets. He needs burn. That's it. Yeah, again, I don't really worry about him. So I don't when they play, they play. There's a chance they might not play. So it's like when they play, they play. You can't obsess about something that isn't yet. I was just glad that they were able to just find a way to win a game. They had to do it in the ways that they've been criticized, criticized by pundits and stuff, people that you just ignore. But it's like, oh well, they can't run without Allen. Well, they ran without Allen. Well, they did win score. Well, on the scoreboard, it was a 1-score game, so somebody could get rid of that. I got all these types, that come in here during this time. I appreciate those of you who are in here, though. I know some of you missed last week. I know some of you guys were just like emotionally. I could understand if you didn't want to come in and chat after last week because it was such an emotional, you know, it was just a death by 1,000 cuts, just type of game where you feel like shit. And I really appreciated my girl last week because she helped me a lot. She didn't realize it. I don't know if she realized how much she did, but she did. And that really meant the world to me because it was like just hanging out and playing pool and just relaxing was like, okay. Yeah, he looks like he's back. He's playing well. Yeah, last week was just outside. It was just like, how many more of these do we have to have? Like, how many times do the Bills lose and it has to be in Greek tragic fashion? Yeah, Matt, that is what it is, Matt. So, I mean, for them, that's their issue, and worry about them when they play. They got that win against the Bills, and he did just enough, and they got caught in a game where he had to try to make a play and just really wasn't capable of doing anything today. And that's the way teams are going to play him. It's like, hey, this kid can't make a play. He's all over the place. Let's just oh man, still fighting. Shit. I mean, there's so many guys, they retire sooner than you think. There's guys, they stay too long. Really can't say at this point. If I think I just like watching more so than anything. I like watching. I don't really have a favorite. Like, I like certain guys' styles. Like, there's certain styles that I like to watch over others. Well, Allen being healthy is everything, and them running the ball. Yeah, she's just nasty. She's just so twitchy and fast. And she's one of the few females, she throws punches like a dude. Like, she actually, like, the torque and the explosiveness that she uses in her fights, it's like that most chicks just don't have that in their DNA. They're not capable of it. But back to the game, they needed to learn how to win left-handed. That was the term I was looking for in the boxing term. You gotta, sometimes you break your right hand. You gotta learn how to win left-handed. And they did today. Because Cook, even Singletary, we know Singletary is steady. We know he's capable when he gets some touches. But Cook is a guy. Cook is a guy that's going to be on this team now and in the future, and he needs to continue to get more looks, because we've seen what he has in his locker today. We saw it at Georgia. We've seen it in spurts. But I'm telling the kid is a walking big play, and he needs to get the ball in space often. And the sooner he does, the better, because you can back teams up. You can start making teams have to play backwards. And then that's when those passing lanes are going to get bigger and bigger. It's like, or they're going to, defenses are going to, it's like, we have to come down to stop him because he's eating us up. And then the passing lanes over the top, they open up again. So that's a good situation to have. And they need to play this coming Thursday the same way. I don't know what type of game plan they're going to be able to get in a short period of time. I'm sure they have one. They're not going to review this game. They're going to go right on to Detroit. And it's kind of crazy the way it works out. Detroit travels back to Detroit. The Bills travel from Detroit back to Buffalo, only to return to Detroit. The Lions, they're a solid team. You saw it today. They were, they have good players. They have a capable quarterback. They have a very good offensive line. They've invested a lot in the offensive lines. Decker, Ragnow, Sewell. They have some good players. I know they lost their center today. He went down with an ankle, didn't return to the game. Okudah went out, but they're still susceptible. I think you can, if you watch the game, the Giants were able to move the ball. There was just certain instances in the game where Giants really just shot themselves in the foot. They didn't get I don't feel like they got Saquon going enough. They didn't give him enough looks, and they kind of put the game on Jones's back. And he made some good plays, just wasn't able to. Isaiah Hodgins had a fumble in the game. He caught a pass and he got stripped, and they lost the fumble. But I think if I'm not mistaken, Detroit scored off of every turnover the Giants had. They converted it into scores. And I know one turnover, the Giants were kind of close. They were going in. They would have got at least 3 out of it. And Detroit got an interception. I believe it was Kirby Joseph got it, the rookie. And that was it for that drive. Oh, but thanks for coming to hang out tonight, guys. I appreciate it. It's nice. It's nice to come hang out and shit, shoot the shit after a win. I wish Lynch was drafted in this Bills class. Yeah, Lynch, that's a once in a lifetime type of player. Yeah, like I need you need to see them both getting steady touches. You could even give, fucking Gilliam a dive play, much like the way Minnesota gave Ham last week, and he scored a touchdown, because a lot of times the last guy you're thinking that's going to get the damn ball is the fullback. I know they had 3 linebackers in a lot today, but it just got to the score effect and the point in the game where they were making some plays, Victor. Just you got to sometimes you got to tip your tap. Cooper and Peoples Jones were making some plays, and Brissett was making some nice throws. So, but I will, when things had to happen early in the game, in that meaty part of the game where it's the third quarter into the fourth, early part, the Bills did what they had to do to get that lead. And there was a point in that fourth quarter, they only had 10. And when the Bills decided to back up and exchange yards for time, they had gotten them into some fourth down situations. They got them on some third and long situations. It was just tough. I hope not, Johnny, but we'll see. I try not to be, a pessimist. Yeah, I'd like to see. It's going to be interesting to see the roster decisions they make in the short week. You had the wide receiver. They had Kumaro put on IR. They swapped him out with Klein, so it's like you're carrying 7 linebackers right now. You got 11 DBs. You only have 4 receivers. You have 5 running backs. So they're going to have to get some evenness somewhere. They're thin at wide receiver right now. They're heavy in other areas. So depending on what moves they make, and they're going to have to come soon, because you're going to have to prep these guys and have them repped on a short week. Mentally, you got to know who you're going in there with. It's going to be, we're going to know pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, they've been at the they've been at the forefront of a lot of our pain. But like I the only way I kept myself sane last week was it's like there's 8 games left. The old half a season, there's 8 games left. That's a lot of football. And yeah, man, so, some of those passes and catches, bro, are really crazy though. Hussein, you got to admit, like some of them are just Justin Jefferson is as good as it gets in this league. Cooper's a really, really good player. And they were, they were making some plays, man, and he's made his fair share of plays too, but it'll turn, man. It sometimes it happens like that. But I mean, he's made a few plays like on the ball this year. I mean, he had an INT in the opener. He had an INT last week. I really wish he could have, had some burn on the return, but that Benford had a pick last week, so They just weren't able to turn those into big points. That's the thing. You got to turn these turnovers into points. Particularly touchdowns. I think they settled for a field goal last week, and that's not good enough. You got to really, you got to score. You got to score touchdowns. It's like this week, instead of one or two of those field goals, and you throw 8 more points up on the board, it's 38 to whatever. It's a blowout. You're just chilling, no matter what happens. That's OBJ is all speculation. Nobody knows what he might not know what he's going to do at this point. It's kind of one of those things. Nobody knows until it happens. It either happens or it doesn't happen. To speculate on it is, it's, well, yeah, ideally you get a corner like that, you get Elam back, you're able to have the rotation you want and the depth that you want. Your secondary can kind of like figure itself out a little bit. You have Marlowe in the system for another week. Klein coming back, that helps the depth a little bit. I trust Klein a little bit more than I would say I trust Dotson or I trust Bernard at this point in their careers. I don't care. I don't care about that. Next Elway, I don't care about that stuff. I mean, there's no more Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl's done. I think it's just like a skills competition. It's like the guys. That's the thing is nobody plays, nobody goes, or you get down to your 4th, 5th, 6th alternate, and when they play the game, nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to hit each other, so it just kind of ends up being they just bastardize the game a little bit, So there's no point in them playing that. I know a lot of you guys are paying attention to the game. They got out of that 3rd and long. See, not everybody else, there's just a brilliant. It's a when you have a good quarterback, sometimes this is such a bad down to be in, man. Way early for that, Hussein. Way early for that, man. O-line, yes. Corner, not yet. Definitely not yet. See, that play pisses me off because I believe it's I don't know. Van Noy couldn't kill him. No, who's ever 56? He just goes and like, dude, what are you doing? If that was Allen, he would have got lit up and fucking the ball would have been fumbled. Instead, that guy goes in with like this, like, it's not 2-hand touch, dude. Number 56. What the fuck was that? That was wild. The Jersey boy Pacheco. He gets so much love for a guy. I think he's got 1 career touchdown. He gets so much love. Like, I root for Jersey guys, but not when they play for the Chiefs, obviously. But you would think that guy was an all-pro because he wears 10 and plays for Kansas City. The way he, like, fantasy people just constantly push him. I don't play fantasy, but it's like, when the kid's good, okay, but he's a rookie yet. Relax. 3rd and 7. And Sky Moore gets it. It's a stressful down, man. Yeah, I saw that. They gave up a sack early and they got out of it. Darwin James got caught trailing on that play. Receiver crosses his face. He uses his inside hand. I don't know why he uses inside hand. That's a good run on it's a good run on 1st down, though. It's crazy, though. The Chargers always play them tough. It's like the Chargers can go. Who'd they get? They got destroyed against the Jaguars. And then they'll go play KC like gangbusters. They'll play them hard as hell. Yeah, see, this is a very close game, though. It's a very nip and tuck game. Yeah, third down, man. That's the money down. That's the down that you win and lose games in. You get the stops or you make the plays. It's like they're gonna get another one too. It's they got him for a 2 yard run stuff. Um, they've kind of phased, if you notice it, they've kind of phased Edwards Hilaire out of their offense. You don't see him running. You don't see him getting a lot of burn in their offense anymore. It's a lot of Pacheco and a lot of McKinnon. It's like the Bills. It's like you have your pecking order. For me, I mean, I would like to see Hines in a more of a pass catching role. I'd like to see him get some handoffs, but you know, if Motor can hold on to the ball and run tough between the tackles, he's got to play. And then Cook absolutely has to play. Cook needs to be on the field 75% of the time for my taste, because that's the kind of what he offers the offense. It's possible. It's possible, Oh, he did, Doug? I didn't see. I know he's had knee issues. He had a knee injury against the Bills last year. He missed a lot of time. Yeah, I don't pay attention to that. It's again, paying attention to that guy is just again. See, I want to like CJB33. I want to say Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know why that optic keeps looking at me and bro, don't worry about that stuff. This kid's got a long career ahead of him. I don't know like why you're even thinking about that. I don't give a fuck about Pro Bowls, Hall of Fames, Super Bowls. Super Bowls, you take care of itself. That's it. Don't worry about that. Yeah, way early, dude. Way early. But again, we watch the game. Cleveland outgained the Bills in total yards, but a lot of those yards came on those last two drives where the Bills were exchanging yards for time, a little too much for my taste. Pass was heavily skewed in their favor. The rush was even way more skewed in the Bills' favor. Who would have thought this? 171 yards to 80, and the Bills had some runs called back on some holds too. Singletary had a long run called back on a hold. Allen had a long run called back on a hold that would have extended a drive that they had to settle for. I think it was the 56-yard field goal. They each averaged 6 yards a play. They lost the fumble. That was huge. Bills, they only had 1 sack. Cleveland had 2 sacks. They had better third down efficiency. That kind of was more happened early on in the game. They had some crazy conversions too. Crazy conversions. They had a slight edge in time, and the Bills had more penalties. And some of those penalties, they were maddening. They were just. I was ready to lose my shit. Like some of those penalties, like they were just like, yo, you're trying to keep this game close. Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. I swear, like, don't like of course he was gonna catch that and run all the way in with it. You sent me something. Let me give it a look here. Oh, okay. All out. Wow. What I wonder what Tony's out with. So, look at it. It's such a simple. It's just he just drags, and again, the guy. It's good defense. It's good defense. It's just the guy is the best tight ends ever to play, and it's a great throw. There's nothing. It's just he's such a money player for them. He really, really is. I really hope Knox can develop into this. I really hope something like it. Something like it, even if 75% of it. To me, I would say he's a more a slight he's a bigger, uh, a little more explosive Tony Gonzalez. Kellen Winslow was just a wide receiver. Kelsey give you a little bit more in the blocking game. A little bit more in a blocking game. Kellen Winslow was a wide receiver playing the tight end. Kind of like Newsome was for the much like Newsome was for the Browns. Ozzie Newsome was. Yeah, he had a nice game today. He really did. I wish he can get targeted a little bit more in the red zone though. A little bit more. Yeah, to me, Gronk is the best tight end ever to play. I've said it so many times. It was the equivalent of having a wide receiver, a tight end, and an extra offensive lineman all in one player. That's what he was at his apex. It's fucking impossible guard. Like, just pray. That's it. Pray. That was your chance to pray. At his peak, he was the best tight end ever to me. Yeah, it's good to see Knox start to get some burn, and they need that. They need that second option. Even Davis, the last couple of weeks, he had one drop early, but he rebounded. I felt like they could have challenged that one late down a sideline. I don't know if he could have. I don't know if they could have challenged it, but I felt like maybe he got his foot in. They just give really, really bad angles on these replays, guys. It's just these replays that they show are just terrible. Like, we can't, like, the viewer gets no input into like anything or just any kind of contextual visuals of like, why did they make this decision? You can't see the replay because it's like the far side of the field view. You can't see the sideline view, and the pylons have cameras. I'm like, why aren't you showing us that? It's really, really frustrating. They have a 2nd and 1. Palmer came in. Oh, what a terrible, that classic Bills short yardage run play there. No, they don't, Doug. It's terrible. And back in the day when supposedly we had less technology, less quality cameras, we got more replays. Got way more replays. 3rd and inches, you got to sneak Herbert. You got to sneak him. Well, Andy Reid, Reid is a Hall of Fame play caller. He's just, he got that. He got that. I mean, he didn't get it by much, but he got it. Was that homeboy that used to play for the Patriots? Georgia running back. Was with the Rams a little bit. I want to say that was him. Man, there's times how bad there's times. Yeah. Sony Michel. You just want that far. Literally. They're going to take a shot here. It's so telegraphed. You should have kept running Eckler. Bolton's a good linebacker. He's one of the players that I really like. Obviously, back to front, it's Jones, him, Thornhill. But Bolton, to me, and Jones are their best players. It was a nice pitch. Was it 5-6 yards? Get you out of dodge quick. You never know. I mean, it's again, they have some things to sort out with the receiving core because there's only so many elevations you can give Gentry, and then they have to fill a roster spot. You can't go on with four wide receivers. You have to have a guy you feel like you can run a route for you, or you can trust. Gentry is just more of a special teams player at this point, a kick coverage guy, and I think they have so many of those. There's so many of them. They have to you have to have a guy that can help you from scrimmage. Stevenson helped him in the return game. I'd like to see him get some run in the return game. See, that's a nice. What they need to do is go on a long drive and score a touchdown. That's what they need to do. Nah, I don't know about him, man. That guy's been around the league. He's just a guy. He's had too many stops. Some guys, dude, I don't know how old you are. Josh Allen is the next Elway. I started that shit on Twitter if you want to look. Like the first, before he even took a snap, I said, if he's ever to develop, that's the kind of player he is. See, that's a nice play. That's Allen can do that. I mean, plenty of times to either Eckler's just a really good all-around back, but Cook is a nice player. He's bigger than people think too. He's a legit. He looks like he gained a little weight. Looks like he's a good solid 200 pounds. No, he's just not. Who's that, Andrew? Just put your head down and go. Nice. Did he fumble? He was down. Why is it we have to replay like he hit the ground and the ball came out? He was down. Like, and you know what? The whole everybody's there looking at it. Even they know he was down. It's like he's down. KC's not even celebrating. He's down. Oh. The ball was moving. Well, he played a very good half at Green Bay, and then he started trying to force some things down the field. He was trying to force some things against the Jets, and it just kind of till late in the Vikings in the second half, he was doing a good job. So again, like, you have ebbs and flows in your season, and the best that's a fumble, Matt. The ball, it's going to be like the fucking it's just those timely plays, those timely plays, and they got that. It sucks, but all right, guys, it's an hour and change here. I'm gonna jump off here, let you guys finish watching the game, enjoy it. It's almost 11 p.m. here on the East Coast. It's gonna be a crazy week for a lot of us. Holiday and stuff. Bills game bright and early on Thanksgiving Day. Hopefully, we get to enjoy a Bills win. Hopefully we get to, just relax and just watch the rest of the day, enjoy the games. And, because that's the best way to enjoy a holiday, Oh, Seattle time for you, dude. You're chilling. You're was it 7? It's 8:00. So peace, guys. Love you all. Go Bills. Glad to come back. Hopefully I'll be talking to you all soon. Get 2 wins in 4 days. That'd be nice. Peace.